This is The Breakfast Stable.
Good morning and welcome to The Breakfast Stable. My name is Jack Muller and welcome to another Sunday morning in Melbourne. And what has been a really beautiful week weather-wise. We've had some absolutely sterling winter days so far. And I'm joined this morning by my gorgeous stablemate, Helen Reiser. Good morning, darling. You're looking very floral this morning.
I know. I just felt like, because we've had such great weather. Add a bit of flower today, a little bit of
Add a bit of colour. And someone that always adds a lot of colour is our lovely friend Pete Hilke, who thankfully only just finished doing his hair just before we went on camera this morning. Thank God she got that done. You're so high maintenance.
Well, he certainly has high maintenance hair, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does indeed. And Catherine, good morning to you too, sweetheart. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. I'm running out of different coloured tops to wear for our Zoom shows. Like last week was pink, then it was green, then it was, today's navy.
Oh, it's navy. I was wondering whether it was navy or if it was Melbourne black today.
No, it's navy with pearls.
Yeah. Oh, very pretty. I like it.
You're sleeveless today.
I know, because I'm sitting underneath my lovely warm heater. That's why.
Oh, beautiful.
So I'm nice and cosy.
Wow.
So it's great to all be back again this morning. It's this Sunday morning. It's been a really big week, I think, for the country in that a lot of things have really started to get back to normal. I think it certainly feels that way. How about you guys?
Definitely. Things starting to open up, which is so lovely. Well, not everything, but we're slowly getting into it, and it's just it's a snowball effect of from libraries to spas are everyone's slowly opening up, which is fantastic. On the 22nd, a lot more will open up on the 22nd of this month.
Yeah. And it's a complete new world out there.
Definitely.
The new world is starting.
It's very, very different when you walk into anywhere.
And everyone seems a lot happier. I was in my local village yesterday, running around doing errands, the normal things that you would always do. And everyone just, because the tables are out now with the cafes outside. And like I said, we've had great weather this week. It's been sunny and gorgeous every day. Everyone is in so much better mood, I think.
Definitely.
I
I think we're so appreciative to actually be out, actually being able to see friends, have people over at our houses, and enjoy food and beautiful beverages together. But some cafes will allow you to sit and just have a coffee, and others you have to have food in order to make it worth their while you sitting there. So depending on the establishment, I find.
And I think I'm personally, a bit more kind of conscious of how long I'm sitting and having something as well. Like I'll try get in, enjoy having something to eat and something to drink, but I'll try and get out as quickly as possible so they can turn those tables over as quickly as possible too. But this week, of course, we're a very happy household because school went back full time this week.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh my God. But the thing is, because the schools are having to have the kids all come at different times through different gates. And so we have a situation where we've got year 6 is starting at the same time that the other 3 have to be dropped off. So there's a double, basically it's a Hotspot and I are like the school Uber. We're like running just a 24-hour shuttle bus between time because we've got that happening. Then, year 8 is only is finishing early on Wednesday, but year 9 is finishing early on Tuesday, and year 10 is finishing early on Friday, but they're all starting at different times, and they all have to go through different gates of the school to minimise, everyone going through the same gate. And then the school traffic on top of that is a nightmare. Let me tell you, it is just horrendous. And when you've got 5 schools all within.
You know what, Jack? I'm all for dating and repartnering after the kids have finished school. Yay! So no more school drop-offs, no more homework supervision.
Only men that have got children that have left school are allowed to date, Catherine.
That's right. Mind you, I did what you did a few years ago. We had 4 between us, and we had our work cut out for us. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, let me tell you, it's been a thing. But we are happy that they're there. The kids are actually happy, and I have noticed how happier they are. And you would never think that any kid would be happy to go back to school, but just mentally you can see how it's been so great for them to be back in touch with their friends, and for youngest to be out there running around kicking the footy with his mates. It has made a huge difference, and how they're sleeping at night. So we're happy. We've just got to get the shuttle bus timetable sorted out, and we'll be able to move on. And speaking of travel, obviously too, Catherine, rather than travelling.
I was really surprised during the week. I actually had a newsletter, an EDM from Emirates Airlines, and I thought, gosh, I'm going to have a read of this because I know the borders are still closed. There's not really much happening at all. So I had a read, and it said, amongst other things, that they're looking forward to, resuming travel, etc. But it had a few new conditions, and those included, of course, no gathering at airports. Masks were mandatory in all flights. But one thing I thought I'm going to really struggle with is no hand luggage. Half of my luggage is in my carry-on because I fly so frequently. I've got a high membership capacity. I can take like 20 kilos of hand luggage.
Yes.
So, what's a girl to do if you're on a long-haul flight and, you're sitting next to some handsome guy and you've got no hand luggage, no makeup, no...
Well, this is it. You've got toothpaste, you've got rosewater spray... all
jokes aside, I take samples, I take, marketing materials, sometimes there might be an expo, so you've got lots of things. So I thought that was a tricky one. But a couple of things that I did see as well, there's 2 countries that have been marketing to the world, and in particular inviting Australians to come and explore their countries. And of course, you might have seen the one a few weeks ago about Italy. So the region of Sicily was inviting people to come along and explore the region, and they were going to pay for, I think it was 50% of flights and every 3rd day of accommodation in the region. So I thought, I'm going to jump onto that one and have a look. So I couldn't find anything on their website, and I contacted the marketing of their tourism. They're going to get back to us. So I will get back to our viewers with more information on how to get some freebies in Italy. And the other one that I saw was Greece. Yeah, Greece opening up its borders to certain countries, and Australia was among those countries that were invited. I guess as we're a lower risk compared to some of the others in Europe. But with that one as well, they still have got some issues with COVID-19. So I don't think Australia's responded to that invitation. I saw a funny thing during the week as well in Italy. There was a woman who was having open brain surgery, which they often do. They keep them awake during this particular surgery. And she was in the theatre because they like to see the response and make sure they're not impacting on an area of the brain during the surgery. So, but this lady was making those beautiful green Sicilian stuffed olives. And these are no mean feat. It's the olive, and it's stuffed with something, then it's got coated in breadcrumbs, and apparently she did 90 in the hour while she was having this brain surgery.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
But what about, isn't like when you're supposed to be having a surgical procedure, isn't the room supposed to be like highly hygienic? And
look, it is, but I think it was all done within hygiene, and the most important thing was her brain function. So that was a funny one I read.
And the surgical team had a snack when they were finished. That's
right. They need to be cooked. They need to be deep fried, actually, but they are delicious.
And it was an interesting video, that one.
Yeah, they actually had
really
a
fascinating
video of it. And in maybe next week or the week after, I'll bring you some actual local tips on travel and what's open and what's on, including a couple of things in Country Vic that people could go and spend the day at. And I did notice 2 igloos popping up around the place, so I'll talk about that next week as well, and what you can do in there.
Get a nice jacket and keep warm.
The mind boggles, Lazio. Speaking of new openings and things happening around Melbourne, Pete Hilke, you've had the privilege of getting a bit of a preview of one of our newest venues, haven't you?
Yeah, well, look, Jesse Singh, he's a great friend to the show, has been for quite a while. Got daughter-in-law, but there's a new place opening in South Melbourne. It's called Mr. Brownie, and it is the most amazing place. It is an authentic British curry. Indian,
there.
which is absolutely fantastic.
Oh.
Look, Jesse's done an amazing job putting this place together. I was just up there yesterday, having a look at what he's done. He's just moved some of the fridges. It used to be called Fisher's Wine Bar, and he's just moved the fridges. There's going to be a lot of local British ales on tap. There'll be some great British bottled beer as well. So think about this. Chips and a curry sauce with a Newcastle brown ale. I mean, does it get any better than that? No. Not when it's 13 degrees outside. You're all rugged up and you can feel the warmth of it all. Simple.
Well, Jesse's a great operator, and he's certainly a really, really great successful business person in our hospitality industry. So, well,
I'm sure it'll be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look at it. It's going to be an extensive menu. You know, it's not going to be huge, but it's going to be some really good Indian, British classic pub food that has just been brought to South Melbourne. So, and I just love how culturally things are starting to change to start to bring in some different cultural food. You know, as I said, some of the British food, it's pretty good, like scampi.
It's a great time of year to be opening a pub like that too, because it is winter and, you know, obviously it's going to have a lot of warmth to it. So it'll be a really nice place for everyone to escape to once.
Good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. So June the 22nd, guys, keep that date in mind. June the 22nd. It's only, it's tomorrow's Monday week away.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
there we go.
Going quick. The whole year is going so fast, isn't it, Helen? And thanks for that, Petty. And Helen, you have got all the gossip on what's happening and opening up over the next couple of weeks as well, haven't you?
Absolutely. Oh, so many things are opening. I'm going to talk about the St. Kilda Film Festival that launched last night. They had opening night. But things like Melbourne's Lido and Classic Cinemas are reopening, and they've got special offers, $10 movie tickets. So obviously they want people to come back, and with new social distancing rules. Village Cinemas are reopening this month as well. And also some eateries like Arbory, our favourites, bar and eatery is reopened. Peninsula Hot Springs has reopened its mineral pools for bathing.
That's a bit dangerous with our isolation bodies and.
I mean, Helen, what are the dates that they're looking at?
And it's cold.
I know. I don't know. We're going to have to look that up on the website. But also libraries have reopened this week. Not the State Library though yet. NGV and Melbourne Museum, the State Library, will be opening around the 27th of June. Again, everything's online. It's so easy to navigate and find out what's open, where you can go. And of course, Melbourne's known as Australia's, I'm going to quote, cultural and sporting capital. And now it's also the skyscraper capital, with the most skyscrapers in the country. And I think they've got.
We'll reach for anything, won't we? We'll just try and grab anything we can. We're just.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, we're the fashion capital, the food capital, the skyscraper capital.
The capital. And we've got 67 buildings taller than 150 metres. But the Australia 108 skyscraper in South Bank is now, as of this week, the tallest residential building in Australia. So how about that?
Which one fell down?
I think they've just added a roof.
I'm just thinking, did another building fall down in Australia that enabled that to now be heralded as the tallest, or did they just stick a shed on top of the one?
Stuck a very thick, I was reading up, it's just an extra, however many centimetres to qualify.
There's going to be a lot of frustrated structural engineers and, architects that are going to be, damn, it's bigger than mine. But then again, sometimes size matters. They care about that stuff.
Exactly.
They do.
Exactly.
But then again, how good would it be? Imagine living on the top level and you've got that low-lying cloud and you're actually just waking up above the cloud. How good's that?
That's like in Hong Kong, Korea, that they have, hotels that are in the clouds. It's amazing.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. Well, thank you, Helen. That's great. That's great information. So everyone can start to go to your favourite sort of entertainment websites and work out what's opening up, and just in time for school holidays too. So thank goodness, just as the kids have only just gone back to school, they're going to be finishing in the next week or so. But at least now we
I love the look on your face with that, Jack.
You're not happy about it, are you? You're not happy and not excited.
Oh my God, it's just, I can't even. Anyway, there'll be lots opening up, which is great. And we've got a special guest on the show too, Helen, haven't we?
Yes, we have Darren Mort, who's going to talk to us about Tommy, the film that was watched last night. We have an amazing guest with us today, Darren Mort, who is the director at To Be Loved. He's been a barrister in family law for nearly 30 years and is the chairman of the Patterson's Barrister List. You were the steering committee member on the Family Violence Task Force headed by Chief Magistrate at the Melbourne Magistrates Court. And you're also a professional actor and producer who's appeared in many stage, film and television productions. Welcome, Darren, to the Breakfast
Yay!
Hi, Darren.
Welcome, Darren.
Hi, guys.
So,
Hey, Darren.
Darren, you're
Nice.
because Tommy launched, your film Tommy has launched at last night at the St. Kilda Film Festival, and we're all at your place watching it at about 10 p.m. last night. Amazing work. So congratulations on the submission for Tommy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So, look, Tommy's a brilliant 19-minute short film that was created by the not-for-profit charity called To Be Loved Network. And Darren, I'm on the board as well, which I'm very proud to be on the board. And it's an incredible film that showcases the painful reality of a family custody battle seen through the eyes of a child. And children are often forced in the middle of these family disputes, and the film pays homage to it. And it's the journey of an 8-year-old boy who uses his imagination to escape the trauma of his parents' separation. So it's quite raw, it's revealing, it's heartfelt.
And so many people could relate to that, isn't it?
Everyone can. And I love the fact that the main character, who, by the way, won Best Actor Award at the Romanian Film Festival, he actually remains silent throughout. It's just his facial expressions that tells it all, because children are silent in court, as you see many, many times, Darren.
Yeah, well, children are the silent victims of parental separation, and
definitely.
And their voices are not often heard. And the disappointing thing is that often children want to be heard. They want their views considered, even if they're not adopted. So I think the power of Tommy is in the silence of Tommy himself, that he doesn't have that voice, and that all this chaos and conflict is happening around him, like some tornado, and his parents really don't notice him, don't notice what he's going through.
And I think the fact that some parents hate each other more than they love their children, and that's seen through this film very subtly, though. It's not, and it doesn't blame either side either. It's and that's the beauty of it. It's not blaming the mother or the father. It's just the story through the eyes of a child. And also, I mean, you wrote the book as well, Tommy and Tiger Terry, which has received so many accolades as well. You know, everyone from university professors to psychologists and psychiatrists and high court judges and barristers and mediators, they're all loving the book and the film. And it also, the book is geared for children, telling children that they're not alone, that there's so many like them, you know, that are in the same position.
The key messages in the book are they're not alone, and it's not their fault. Yeah. And I think because a lot of kids take on the blame, they blame themselves for their parents' separation, and that's evident in children's wishes when psychologists are are interviewing children, they often say, look, you know, if I had 3 wishes, I'd want mum and dad back together as my number 1 wish. Number 2 wish, I wish they'd stop fighting. And number 3 wish, I wish I had, you know, a new Barbie doll or an X-Men game. But the first 2 wishes are usually compelling.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's so hard, isn't it, when they love their both parents, and one partner might have repartnered, or one parent, sorry, might have repartnered, and the children don't want to be disloyal. They can be really caught in a hard place.
Yeah. So what often happens in that situation is that kids often come home from contact visits to their mum, for example, and pretend that they didn't have a good time with their dad's place. So it's very important for parents to give kids permission, to go to the other parent's place and to have a good time.
Enjoy it.
Because very simply, kids are made up of their mums and their dads, half, they're like split. So if a kid comes back from dad's time and mum goes, oh, what did he feed you? Or, oh, I bet he didn't give you a good time as mum did. Or, oh, did he have that girlfriend around again? Well, that's like a mother sticking a knife in that part of the child that is his or her father. So it's quite basic, but it's quite compelling that from a psychological point of view, the impact that has on kids. And we see it all the time.
Yeah, so it's so difficult to, as the parent, to be aware and to moderate your conversation and your dialogue, and just to really be aware that the people that suffer are the children, and just to be mindful of that all the time.
Very mindful, Catherine. And you can always, you know, we had a friend there last night at the opening, and, you know, she's just going through a matrimonial, and she said to me, you know, you really have to stop and think before you say anything about their father, because you know that that's not fair, because that child's relationship with their father is separate to their relationship with their mum. So what your relationship was with your ex is really irrelevant as far as the children are concerned. In fact, they don't care. They do not care, the kids. What they're interested in is their relationship with their mum and their relationship with their dad. So it's as simple as that. And Tommy is a little boy who is in this, if you can imagine, a battlefield with trenches on either side, with his mum and dad armed in those trenches, trying to drag him into each of their respective trenches. And what happens with kids in that situation is they disassociate because it's all too hard. They can't cope with the conflict, and therefore often those kids go to an imaginary place. And that's what Tommy does. He goes to this submarine where he feels comforted, he feels secure, and he feels safe. And he imagines his friend Tiger Terry, who helps him through that conflict. And it's quite tragic when you see kids, when they get into that situation, it makes such an emotional impact on them. And certainly when I'm in the case, it has an emotional impact on me too, because it's just so awful to see.
Yeah, I can imagine, some of the things that you see, Darren, would be pretty horrific in terms of some of the behaviours. And even then, I think even probably still after you've gone through court cases, seeing still, even though people are trying to talk common sense to people, the fact that they just will not let go of certain behaviours, they just can't get past their own pain or their own immediate needs and wants and put their kids first at any level. And it's so tragic, that loss of that parent-child relationship, whether it's the father or the mother's side. And it's so tragic for those kids. Are you seeing more of like an increase in families going to court of recent times, or you see it's becoming less?
Well, I can tell you, Jack, that since the COVID crisis, there has been a 317% increase in separation.
Oh, God.
Wow.
317%.
I mean, Darren, do you expect that to grow even further in probably the next up to 12 months?
Wow.
Absolutely. Like everything with this COVID crisis, the tidal wave hasn't hit us yet, emotionally and economically.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's incredible because a lot of families live on the brink. They can't afford to separate.
Yes.
Everyone, most people live beyond their expenses.
Yeah.
You know, I'm guilty of that. Hey, and in a situation whereby in COVID, where people are working from home, we're in each other's pockets, you know, 24/7. It pushes people, and they start to think, do I really want this life? Do I really want to be stuck with her for the rest of my years, or him for the rest of my years?
And often, isn't it the lack of their own identity and purpose if they've lost a job, or if they're working from home and they don't feel like they're working at all because they're working outside of an office, and they're finding loss of financial stability?
Oh, yeah. The pressures are enormous. And as Pete just said, you know, you can imagine when this mortgage moratorium lifts and people are going to start making mortgage payments, you can imagine.
That's right.
You
September.
can imagine.
September. Yeah, it's going to be bad.
And I think one of the biggest things as well, it's all about that verbal communication and how we actually speak to each other.
Yes.
And our tonality, the way that we talk to each other, and just say good morning or whatever it may be. But you've just got to learn. It's been a very interesting time, and I just think, you know, moving forward, there's going to be some very interesting months ahead.
There are simple things, you know, we can do. There are simple things we can do, like what just Pete said. You know, make your wife a cup of tea first thing in the morning. It's not hard, you know, to put another tea bag in another cup. Have a date night out, even if it's in the confines of your own home. Section off the area, say to the kids, see you later, Dad and Mum are having a date night tonight. We're going to do that inside. If there's a potential for conflict in the house, take a breath, walk out the room, and come back in the room and say, look, listen, we'll talk about that later when the kids aren't around. You know, it's just being mindful. All this mindfulness we learn with, you know, Zen yoga and meditation and stuff. We need to be mindful of how we act and what we say in front of our kids.
A lot of people,
Darren, I've got two young guys in the house. They're 19 and 25, and they both go off to work and come home together. They work together. And you might hear, you know, one of them be frustrated about something that's happened. So I really try and mentor them about using really kind language so they can get things off their chest, but it's always about being mindful how they communicate how they're feeling, and to always do it from a place of kindness, and just to take that deep breath and then not have the conversation at that moment, but just take a breath and choose words that are kind and articulate, not fiery.
Some people don't know how to communicate and can't deal with it. And I have a girlfriend that you know runs a hotel, and she said the amount of phone calls she gets from dads or fathers that ring up saying, I just need a night out, I need a night to stay, or two, you know, just to get away from my family before I murder someone, you know. So it's heartbreaking actually to what's going on.
Maybe it's okay to have that break. Maybe it's okay to say, you know, we need time out. Let's one of us go and take a breath, and maybe it means, you know, having a night away, and maybe that's okay.
Yeah, I think
agree.
it is.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I think it's healthy. You know, you know yourself. I must say, I don't know whether any of you guys like this, but when I'm overseas without Anne, the first 2 days, God love her, are just fantastic. I just love having that time to myself where I'm not surrounded by any family issues. But after that second day, I want them all back because I'm lonely.
Yes.
But I think that's not an unhealthy thing to do. You know?
Correct. Yeah. I bet, Darren, when you were making Tommy, which is now, when were you in production for this? Is with what?
So we shot it a year ago, last June we shot it. And premiered in Sydney in August and then Melbourne in October. Yeah.
And I bet you at that point, with the whole idea of being in a COVID situation, and then the lag effects of what we're seeing and what you've said in terms of the increase in divorce. I mean, you know, at the time of producing the movie, I'm sure you were doing that in reference to the world as it was sort of then. You know, you can't imagine that you making it and it now, you know, getting, you know, awards and all those sorts of things, how it's going to be so relevant and such a wonderful resource. I'm sure for a lot of child psychologists and family, you know, crisis, you know, centres and all those sorts of things, you know, even more so moving forward.
Yeah, it's a good thing, Tommy. I was thinking the other day, it's a bit of a timeless piece because it's not evident that it's set at any particular time, the movie itself. and the issues are alive, you know, now and will be into the future, you know.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, education is king, educating us parents how we can do better, educating kids that, you know, relevant things about them and how they're navigating their parents' separation. So I think there's a lot of positive things to be said, and we've certainly through To Be Loved Network, we've got a lot of positive things on the agenda. We're actually developing a kids app at the moment. Monash University is collaborating with us, and we've got I call them the Avengers. We've got an amazing team of experts on our advisory panel, from judges to high-profile psychologists to international psychologists. So that app's going to be very useful for kids because for the first time they will have an app with information about the family court and who's who in the zoo. And they'll also have a wellbeing component attached to that app, sort of like Headspace, I suppose. But so it's all about giving kids information. It's all about bringing kids into the 21st century.
Yes.
And you know, the old saying, children should be seen and not heard. Well, no, not in the 21st century.
No.
Children need a voice.
Yeah. And of course, the amazing work you have done with this movie has resulted in some awards overseas and some hopefully. That's amazing.
I have to say, because it was submitted into Flickerfest and the St Kilda Film Festival, it's now it can be submitted now into to the Academy Awards and BAFTA in the UK. So Darren, you are amazing, and the amount of awards I was reading every week, another award and another, you know, nomination, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. So congratulations on everything.
Thank you so much.
And,
it's wonderful. Thank you, Helen. And yeah, we look forward to getting your, you know, basically what we're saying is he's got an Academy Award nomination. Let's just put it out there.
I wish.
Am I calling it too early? We're calling it too early. Thank you. Thank you, Darren.
How can everyone watch the film? Can they hop onto the St Kilda Film Festival website
Catherine.
or?
Yeah, they can this week until the 20th of June. They can pop on the website. It's under, I think they call it Headspace or something. It's under that category with a number of films dealing with mental health issues. And they can pop on the St Kilda Fest site and watch the film. And I really would love them to do that and send in any feedback to our To Be Loved Network email and love to hear people's views.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Thanks, Darren.
For having me.
Thanks, Helen. Wonderful as well for bringing Darren on this morning. And thank you to everyone for tuning in this morning. It's been a great show. So thank you, Catherine. Lovely to see you, honey. Thank you, Helen.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Pete. And thank you again, Darren, for joining us again this morning on the Breakfast Table. It's always great to have you on the show, mate, and it's wonderful the work that you're doing. It's terrific.
Thanks,
we hope
Darren.
everyone has a wonderful Sunday, and we're looking forward to everyone tuning in again next weekend.
Happy Sunday.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.